was communicating very well, and the game had to come out by Christmas of that year. Let's just say most of the team got sick, a lot of them got fired, and Sega basically canceled it. And then just released a slightly better looking Sonic 3D Blast in its place. You know what's funny about Sonic Extreme?
What?
There's another canceled Sonic Extreme.
Oh, there is?
Yeah. So there actually was a second video game called Sonic Extreme, although this one wasn't. So Sonic Extreme for the Saturn is spelled like with like the cool like X.
Extreme.
Like extreme. This one was more of like the actual how you spell extreme.
Oh, extreme.
So this game is fun because it was never announced.
Oh, okay.
It was a Sonic skateboarding game, kind of like Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I can see why this one was canceled.
This was never announced.
It
You know
sounds
how it?
stupid.
You know how it was discovered?
How?
Someone bought an old Xbox development kit, and it was on it.
Oh.
It's Hey guys, I'm Bill, a one-time Instagram blogger and now a podcaster.
And I'm Alex, the chaotic neutral,
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast
a brother-sister duo,
that talks about gaming.
and also anime.
And don't forget the collecting, or sometimes.
Ah, forget it. We're just a nostalgia podcast at this point.
But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how you been?
I've been doing all right. My eye's been watering, but I have an eye doctor appointment, so
That's good.
yay.
So yeah, it's been a couple weeks since we've last recorded.
It has? I thought we recorded
No, we didn't.
the week before.
Nope, because her mother was here, remember?
Well, yeah, but the week before that.
Well, the week before, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
so
been
it's only been like 2
it's
weeks.
been 2 weeks. That's what I said. It's been a couple of weeks.
It's been 2 weeks.
A couple is two.
A couple to me is more than 2.
Whatever. And she's the one that went to college.
Hey, it's rude. Look at it. Look at it.
Yeah, it's adorable.
No, it's not.
For context, our mother got our sister a wonderful pillow that is literally our cat Tilly's head.
It's my cat. It's a horrible picture of her with the flat.
It's the most gorgeous thing ever.
No, it's awful.
It stares at you.
It's like the Mona Lisa. It, like, no matter where you stand, it's always looking at you.
Yep. Other than that, though, it's been a rough kind of couple of 2 weeks. I mean, I've been exhausted lately.
Yeah, well, last week I feel like was just super tiring because every day it was raining or gloomy.
Or cold, or
cold, then,
snowing,
like, suddenly
kind of.
warm. And yeah, so I feel like it was a wonky time.
You know my gripe against snow?
What's your gripe against snow?
I don't like snow to begin with, but if we're going to get snow, I'd like to get a good amount of it so we can at least enjoy it. Not this, like, spitting, like, it spits up some snow and then it melts in 2 days.
Yeah,
So it's just an annoying inconvenience.
yeah,
And it's like, we haven't got a decent snowfall in, like, years.
yeah.
Or if we do, it's, like, too much and it, like, you can't do anything with it because it's not the right snow. It's annoying. I just want to go cross-country skiing again, damn it.
You do. I want to
Yeah.
try actual skiing. I've never skied before.
Yeah, I like the cross-country skiing because you get some good exercise out of it, but that's besides the point. So you've been on a One Piece binge again as of late.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get caught up with where it's currently at so I can just watch whenever, like, a new episode comes out, just like me reading the manga. So that's kind of like my goal right now, is to get caught up so I can get there. And then eventually we'll probably start watching another show together for an anime swap.
Yep, we are in the planning stages now.
Yes.
But other than that, it's been pretty good. I've been catching up on Boruto because I've been ignoring it since before the move, and I have 4 box sets worth of
Jesus.
episodes to watch. So
Jesus.
I gotta catch up on that because apparently we're getting closer to the point where it starts to really
When
get good.
Naruto's gonna die.
He still hasn't died yet.
It's coming.
200 episodes in, he's still alive. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, also we got a new TV.
Alex got a new
Well,
TV.
I got a new TV for Christmas, but it didn't fit where my old TV was, so we had to kind of come up with a new thing because I have a fireplace. And to get a TV installed over your fireplace the right way is expensive, so I gotta save up for it. But for now, I got a little just TV stand, put it in front of the fireplace because I don't use it at all.
Yep.
And it looks great, and now it's so much nicer watching TV down here because you don't have to strain your neck, and you can and it's big.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is very big.
Yeah. And the sound is a lot better too.
But I mean, other than that,
I bought Odyssey.
oh yeah,
Odyssey.
Alex bought a video game.
I did. I bought One Piece Odyssey. I haven't played it just yet. Well, so we I don't know if by the time this will come out, the other podcast will come out, but we guested on a podcast, and they were telling me about how the end of Violet is actually really good and interesting.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
so
she's been
now I really want
binging
to
that.
finish it. But I'm going to keep it a secret until it comes out, in case this comes out before that comes out. So it's a secret.
Yep. But
You'll never know, except the one person who will know, besides us.
yeah. Yeah. Other than that, though, I haven't really been doing a lot of collecting. I've been kind of holding off while I work on other things. I bought a new mic stand, so this is our first podcast with the new mics and a mic stand.
Yeah.
So we
don't have our our janky table set up.
Yeah, so I don't have to have the mics set up on a fucking table. I mean, granted, this mic stand isn't really designed for our mics personally, but I've made it work. So
Yeah. Looks fine to me. Looks like it works to me.
yeah, well, it's not really attached properly because this is meant for a bigger mic.
Ah.
But that's besides the point. Maybe one day I'll get the soundboard working and we'll actually have a proper podcasting setup.
Ooh. Oh, if you have soundboard working, could you have it play random sounds?
I don't know yet. I have to figure it out.
They'd be not sounds of me, right?
Yeah.
Please, all right, because if that's gonna happen, then you're not setting up the soundboard.
You're the one that says I should sneak them in every now and then.
No, I don't ever mean it seriously. I only mean it in a joking way of don't actually do it, but it would be funny, but no.
Well, what are you drinking before we move on to our topic?
I stole one of Bill's seltzers. It's an orange vanilla polar.
Not alcoholic seltzer.
No, yeah. It's refreshingly natural, made with natural flavors, and it's family made since 1882.
They're just water.
With a hint of orange vanilla.
And I'm drinking a sparkling ice caffeine because I'm really tired all the time lately.
Well, you need to get some sleep.
I do. I sleep more than most humans do, and I'm always tired.
You sleep too much. You gotta get less sleep.
No.
You gotta just sleep all day.
No. Well, anyways, so
Bill's
before-
not wearing his hat correctly. There we go.
Before Alex gets us canceled, we're actually going to be talking about canceled video games.
That's just rude. How would I get us canceled?
It's called a segue, Alex.
How
Don't
would
question
I
it.
get us canceled? I need an explanation, Bill.
It's called
No segue. Segways are what police officers ride around on malls in.
Those aren't police officers. Those are mall cops.
Okay, those are what mall cops ride
Let's be
around
real
on,
here.
in malls in. That's a say. Speaking of segue, I kind of want a segue. Can you get me one? I feel like it would be fun to drive around the house.
All I'm picturing you on a Segway is you'll get on the thing, move 2 feet, and go face first into the ground, and you'll never touch it again.
It looks fun. I never had one of those hoverboard things.
You never had a lot of things because you had when you were a child, you had a really bad tendency of every sort of vehicle you got on, you would crash after 3 seconds and then never touch again. Your bike, your roller skates, your scooter.
I still rode the bike after and the scooter.
Yeah, but there was a good brief period where you wouldn't touch them. So
I'm braver now. I'm not a child anymore. I'm an adult, and I want a Segway.
You just got roller skates.
Well, yeah, but it's cold right now.
Okay.
I want a roller skate.
Anyways.
Let's go roller skate. I got roller blades.
Skates are more fun.
Blades.
Anyways,
Anyway, what are we talking about?
canceled video games.
Oh.
So we've
You're
talked.
canceled. Goodbye. The podcast is over. Ow.
So
Salt. And
So in the past, we talked about development hell, and development hell is fascinating because not every game comes out, but a lot of them most of the time do. It's just very late. Canceled video games are a more fascinating thing, where sometimes they do involve a development hell, or other times they just never materialize. And they do tend to overlap as concepts, but a lot of the times a canceled video game never gets off the ground. Sometimes they're not even announced, which is interesting. So, like, a great example of a canceled video game is something we talked about previously, which was Sonic Extreme.
Oh,
The canceled Sega Saturn Sonic game, which is still one of the most tragic video game developments of all time. And we're not going to rehash that one. Basically, to summarize it for anyone who hasn't seen our previous episode is...
You should go watch that episode, though.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Basically,
Right now. And then come back.
Studio tries to develop a game for the Sonic game for the Sega Saturn, although it initially started on the Genesis and moved to the 32X before eventually settling on the Saturn. Project is restarted multiple times. The development team itself was split into different sections. No one was communicating very well, and the game had to come out by Christmas of that year. Let's just say most of the team got sick, a lot of them got fired, and Sega basically canceled it. And then just released a slightly better looking Sonic 3D Blast in its place. You know what's funny about Sonic Extreme?
What?
There's another canceled Sonic Extreme.
Oh, there is?
Yeah. So there actually was a second video game called Sonic Extreme, although this one wasn't. So Sonic Extreme for the Saturn is spelled like with like the cool like X.
Extreme.
Like extreme. This one was more of like the actual how you spell extreme.
Oh, extreme.
So this game is fun because it was never announced.
Oh, okay.
It was a Sonic skateboarding game, kind of like Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I can see why this one was canceled.
This was never announced.
You know how stupid.
You know how it was discovered?
How?
Someone bought an old Xbox development kit, and it was on it.
Oh.
It's interesting how games get discovered like that. So someone leaked it online, and it looked very generic.
Shit?
No, I've seen worse.
Oh, okay.
But it was clearly a tech demo at most.
Yeah.
What's funny, though, is they later made the Sonic Hoverboard Racing series of Sonic Riders.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, those games aren't...
I kind of forgot those existed.
So the first one isn't awful. Like, a lot of people act like it's terrible. It's not a bad game once you figure it out. It just has a very, very extreme learning curve.
Yeah, you gotta figure the controls out, and then it's fun.
The second one is a little more annoying because it's slap motion controls, but it's not bad either. It's not the worst thing, I should say. The one for Kinect, though, that's a flaming pile of shit. Don't bother with that.
Don't even try.
That one's more just funny to watch people play.
Isn't that the game that introduced like the bird people?
Yeah,
the bird characters.
Jet the Hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, so another fun game that we've also talked about previously in the past that was also a canceled game found on an Xbox development kit, that canceled South Park game.
Oh.
The one for that was basically Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yep.
It was also found on an Xbox development kit.
Huh. Xbox? Do they just sell them? Like,
you can buy them online.
Oh, okay. Like, who's selling them though? Like, is
people just get people end up with them after a while because they get rid of them.
Huh.
Not everything gets properly disposed of the way it should, so it's like how stuff
yeah,
kind
I
of
get
gets
that.
out. And people they end up online and people buy them, and then a lot of times this is how we discover games that like were never supposed to that never actually saw a release.
They were never supposed to be known.
Now, those are just some notable ones that we've mentioned in the past. Now we're going to talk about something we've never talked about before. So there's been a lot, and when I say a lot, of canceled games. And when it comes to canceled games, there's some that were canceled and no one cares about, and there's others that were super ambitious and super hyped that were canceled and have never come out, at least the way they were intended.
Yeah.
So one famous one is Star Wars Battlefront 3.
Okay.
So the Star Wars Battlefront games are probably two of the most acclaimed Star Wars video game series of all time.
What do you mean the Lego ones are the best?
Lego games don't count. Lego games are their own subgenre at this point.
But they're Lego Star Wars.
I won't disagree that the Lego Star Wars games are some of the best Star Wars games ever made. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we're talking about the more traditional ones here. The Battlefront games are some of the most well remembered.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Battlefront 2 is a very fun like multiplayer like
Battle for Bikini Bottom.
third-person shooter.
Yeah.
So those games are made by Pandemic Studios. Pandemic Studios ended up getting acquired by EA and then eventually got closed because EA sucks
Oh,
sometimes.
well, not a surprise.
Battlefront 3 was actually in development shortly after that, and it was actually being developed by Free Radical Design.
Huh.
Free Radical Design is a very well-known and very highly acclaimed first-person shooter studio.
Yep.
They made the Time Splitters series,
Oh.
and they were actually formed by a lot of former Rare staff who had
Oh,
previously
okay.
worked on GoldenEye 007 and Perfect Dark.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of that British wit came with their games, especially the Time Splitters series.
Yep.
So it's unclear exactly what happened. Apparently, a lot of Free Radical... excuse me.
Ooh, let me.
Yeah. Apparently, Free Radical, like, the game was supposed to be, like...
Hiccup.
You were supposed to be able to seamlessly transition from ground and space battles. And apparently, the game was 99% finished before it was canceled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like apparently Free Radical almost had it done. Free Radical went through some issues though, and I think LucasArts was also like going through financial troubles at the time. Because Free Radical closed down for a brief period, and they're now back because they're re-releasing another another game that's been in development hell for a long time. Time Splitters 4,
Oh, okay.
which is finally supposedly in development right now. Now the thing with Battlefront was the series did eventually make a comeback,
Yep.
where EA rebooted it, but it's not the same Battlefront 3 that a lot of fans were hoping for. And they're somewhat controversial games. I don't think they're awful, but they're not great either. Now, it's funny, Star Wars games, there's a lot of canceled Star Wars games.
Yeah.
That's one that's very notable, though. Another notable canceled game, this one isn't much on it, but there was apparently at one point a video game called Crash Bandicoot Evolution.
Oh, okay.
Now, Crash Evolution was supposedly it was coming out after Twinsanity,
Oh, okay.
and it was supposed to be more of a sci-fi-ish Crash thing. It was going to be developed by, I believe, by the Twinsanity team.
Okay.
Because everyone knows Twinsanity is a very good Crash game that's very unfinished.
Yeah.
Like, it's very clearly was never done.
Yeah.
Apparently, Evolution was supposed to, like, actually be what initially was intended with Twinsanity, like this super ambitious, open-ended Crash game.
Huh.
Unfortunately, everyone knows Traveler's Tales eventually closed down.
Oh.
Well, not closed down. They closed down the Oxford studio, which was developing the Crash games.
Yep.
And the studio that owned Crash, Vivendi, later transferred the series over to Radical Entertainment, who then eventually soft rebooted it into the Titan stuff for a while,
Oh, yeah.
which they have their fans, I'll say, but they're not amazing games either.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't feel like Crash games.
They're beat 'em ups that are somewhat Crash-like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was Crash games apparently in development. Because there was apparently a Crash game being developed by Radical after Mind Over Mutant as well. That was supposed to be another game that was also canceled. But yeah, the Crash series is another one that we should take a deep dive into at some point.
Oh, yeah.
So now, speaking of canceled games that kind of did come out,
So what exactly happened? Did it just, like, not,
they closed down the Oxford studio and they
okay,
transferred...
it just kind of fizzled into nothing.
Vivendi
basically?
Vivendi moved the production over to Radical.
Yep.
And then eventually, Radical made the games before Activision acquired Vivendi and got
So,
the
like,
rights.
but Evolution just kind of didn't happen, and instead they made
Yeah,
the other games.
there
Okay.
wasn't much of Evolution to be. You can find a few like concept images, but basically the game was
Oh, it
not.
was barely started.
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
So unlike Battlefront 3, which was almost literally finished.
But this one had barely even
Yeah,
been touched. Okay.
this was more of an idea on paper,
Ah,
which is what a lot of canceled games end up being. So another one. Now this game technically came out in a sense, but not
okay.
exactly. So Doom 4. Announced in 2007 and was intended to reboot the series. Basically, the game just suffered from a development hell. but it wasn't a super like interesting development hell. That's why we didn't really mention it in the previous one.
Yeah.
It just kind of, it was one of those games that took forever. They really could not figure out what they wanted to do. And in the end, they basically decided to just
Cancel.
scrap it. They scrapped Doom 4 and they ended up replacing it with what became Doom 2016,
Oh.
which is
okay.
basically Doom 4.
Oh, okay.
So in a sense, the original plan for Doom 4 was scrapped entirely and they just made another game, which was a phenomenal game. So we didn't really lose much
Yeah.
there.
Interesting.
There is some interesting stuff in the background, though, of like what was going on. Now, okay, now this one is tragic.
Oh no.
So, the the early 2010s, like into the middle of the 2010s, the Mega Man series.
Yes.
Mega Man had a rough couple of years there.
Oh no.
So, and one of those games
Just
that
some not great games. Or
no, just more like no games at all.
Oh, okay.
So the Mega Man series is interesting because there's a lot of misconceptions on what actually happened here.
Yep.
But basically, right after the Mega Man Classic revitalization titles that were Mega Man 9 and 10, which were they made two Mega Man games that were basically they made them as 8-bit games
Yep.
that were super nice like throwbacks for the time to
Yeah.
like the classics. After that, they were actually going to release a kind of like Super Mario Maker in a way. It was going to be a game called Mega Man Universe, where you could like make your own Mega Man levels
Oh, that's
and stuff.
cool.
And it was designed around like Mega Man 2, essentially. We saw one trailer for it. It looked okay, not amazing. Probably would have been very cool.
Yep.
And then in 2011, it was just canceled
Oh, really?
with no real explanation other than various circumstances.
Huh.
In reality, right around this time, the guy who was not the creator of Mega Man, that's a huge misconception, but the guy who kind of like controlled the Mega Man franchise at Capcom at this point, and who was one of the highest higher ups at Capcom at the time, Kenji Inafune,
Yep.
he left the company to start his own company.
Oh.
And right after he left, basically every Mega Man project was canceled,
Wow.
including infamously another one known as Mega Man Legends 3.
Wow. Okay.
Which was the 3D Mega Man games. Unfortunately, and Mega Man Legends 3 to this day is still the most tragic because the Mega Man series has made a bit of a comeback recently.
Yeah.
Like with we got the amazing Mega Man 11,
Yep.
and there's a ton of collections coming out now, basically re-releasing the games to everybody.
Oh, nice.
Like the X series got re-released, the Classic series, the Zero series, even the Battle Network RPGs have gotten re-released.
Huh.
But the Legend series has tragically been ignored.
Yep.
And there's hope that 3 will someday happen, or at least we'll get a re-release, because sadly Mega Man Legends 2 ends on a cliffhanger, and that's never been resolved.
Oh, that stinks.
And 3 was close, and we saw 3 was supposed to be like this awesome looking 3DS game too, and there was a demo for it that was about to come out, and it just canceled.
Canceled.
in that-
Wow.
And the worst part is Mega Man got like no games for like half the 2010s.
Wow.
It was a very tough time to be a Mega Man fan. But anyways, so moving on from that one. Going through, there's a couple more Star Wars games that got canceled.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of Star Wars projects were just like up and then nope, no more.
So I kind of like, I'm going through this list. Like, there was Star Wars 1313, which was like this highly like acclaimed game that was supposed to come out. That one, a lot of the Star Wars games got basically kiboshed by the Disney buyout.
Oh.
Where Disney
That
bas-
actually makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
when you think about it, because they probably were just like, we weren't involved with this. Meh.
There's one on this list that I'm gonna actually like. I'm gonna get back to because it's a very well known one. I want to save it for later.
Okay.
So I'm moving up to a different article from Digital Trends now. And I'm kind of just going down these. Like, it's funny how I go on this new article and there's immediately Star Wars games again.
Meh.
Okay, so Agent's an interesting one. Because I don't think this game was ever actually canceled.
Oh, really?
But it's like the biggest definition of vaporware.
Ah.
So Agent was a game announced by Rockstar. And it was supposed to release as a PS3 exclusive right around the time Um, it was being developed by the Grand Theft Auto team.
Okay.
It was literally announced, and they have never again
Never
mentioned it,
again.
other than the fact that they keep renewing the trademark.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
it's a bizarre one. Like, and I always find it pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that is kind of strange how it's just like, it's like maybe they have something in the back of the pocket or something, and they're just like waiting for the right time. It's just weird
Well,
though.
EA is too busy to making Grand Theft Auto 5 for like 5,000 years.
Nah, true.
Well, no, they're apparently working on 6 now. That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Maybe agents will magically appear, but if not, I'd say it's
I
canceled.
don't think anyone gives a shit about it
No
anymore.
one cares anymore.
Going down though, Scalebound. Now this was probably one of the most famous canceled games of all time.
Oh, really?
So it was basically being made at Microsoft by Platinum Games, the studio behind like Bayonetta, The Wonderful 101, like all those really awesome games.
Oh, okay.
And it was being developed by Platinum Games exclusively for the Xbox One. And it was going to be this cool action RPG, like revolving around like dragons, and it had an open world, had 4-player cooperative gameplay. Looked really cool. Like, honestly, it was one of those games that actually made me kind of wish I had an Xbox One.
Yeah. Actually, those look kind of interesting. It does sound interesting.
For whatever reason, Microsoft just canceled it in 2017 for undisclosed reasons, claiming that it failed to reach the expectations of the publisher. And Platinum Games the studio head at Platinum Games who was working on it, claims that both sides failed when coming to the game.
Oh, okay.
And Microsoft apparently still owns the rights to it, though. And Platinum says they'd love to come back to it at some point.
Maybe it'll come back in the future.
Maybe.
They'll try and revisit it.
That one is tragic because it actually did look like a game on the Xbox One that I would have actually wanted to play.
Yeah.
Other canceled games that I find interesting are like there was Prey 2, which was a sequel to the pretty like acclaimed but somewhat forgettable original Prey on the Xbox 360, which was this kind of cool like stealthish like shooterish game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there was going to be a sequel for the longest time, and it kind of just
kept getting like pushed back almost.
Yeah, it would just kind of, it was here and there, and then it just kind of disappeared. It was supposed to have like open world aspects and basically just be a more ambitious title. Then it was just canceled by publisher Bethesda, and then Bethesda would later release their own new game just called simply Prey in 2017 by a different studio. And they didn't use any concepts from Prey 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just basically made their own sequel.
So Prey 2 probably won't happen.
No, it's that game's
it will never happen.
Game's long gone at this point. So here's another fun one. There's a lot of superhero games too that have been canceled over the years.
That doesn't surprise me. I don't know why, but it just seems like
a famous one is the PS1 version of Superman 64 that was being developed by.
That's probably okay that it was.
No. Here's the thing though.
Oh, was it actually going to be good?
The PS1 version actually looked like it might be a solid game.
It might be decent.
Like, because they actually were putting time and effort into it. Yeah. And it was apparently like 80-something% done.
It wasn't just flying through rings?
No, it actually looked like a game. Like, you look it up sometime, the PS1 version. It actually looks like there was something there. Basically, that one was canceled just because Titus lost the license. And Warner Brothers was like, nope, we're not giving you an extension.
Yep, sorry. Yeah, wasn't the whole thing they just didn't want to work with them?
Yeah, Warner Brothers hated them.
Huh.
And
that's so weird.
They made the development absolute hell for the studio that they had no way of...
that just sucks.
The thing is, though, Titus didn't help themselves because they went out of their way to overhype the game, even though they knew it was going to be a piece of shit. But there is a few other ones. Like a notable one is there was going to be a Batman game based off of The Dark Knight, like the critically acclaimed film.
Yeah.
Because there actually was a Batman Begins tie-in game.
Huh.
Basically, what happened was, I believe actually Pandemic Studios was working on it, and it was going to have a whole open-world design, like similar to what eventually the Arkham games would have.
Oh, okay.
Basically, they didn't really have the assets at the time, and eventually I believe the license got moved over anyways because like Warner Brothers started making their own games
Oh.
by
Okay.
that point. But
Yeah.
basically, EA canceled it because it was just becoming like too much money and it wasn't working out.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was they basically stopped making tie-in games by that point and went back to making original games.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
basically how the Arkham series came to be.
Huh.
So,
So I guess like
I mean,
something died for something really good to appear, because aren't the Arkham games supposed to be really?
oh, the Arkham
good?
games are phenomenal.
Yeah. So
The
maybe
whole-
it kind of led into something better.
The only thing that's kind of tragic is a game based off the Dark Knight could have been really good because
No,
the Dark
true.
Knight is still one of the best like superhero films ever made.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's funny to me because there was a ton of like Marvel games that were just canceled over the years. There's been Superman games canceled too. Like apparently there's a famous developer known as Factor 5. They were actually making they actually Factor 5 themselves are a interesting one to look into because they had a ton of canceled games as well. But they were making a Superman game that we don't know much about, other than it disappeared. But another game that Factor 5 was making that's actually that actually looked really cool. I'm trying to remember what the name of it was because it was Animal Wars. Animal Wars. Let me look this up real quick.
Animal Wars? Like, I'm scared.
No. It was
Is it like that fighting game we played?
no. Oh, no, not Animal Warfare.
Animal Wars. Oh, all of that popped up with me is the first and only animated Lampoon on Football. It looks like a movie. I'm gonna look at this now. What is this? Bill, it was also an animated film.
Oh, I'm sure. No. This was it.
Oh, see, I was looking at this.
No. That's not even close. So there's not a whole lot left about Animal Wars other than it was going to be a tactical RPG for the PS3 that was in development around 2004 to 6. And it was supposed to come out early for the PS3. The problem was, though, Factor 5 was making 2 games at the time. And this is funny, though, because it's like it's basically like a tactical warfare game, but all the characters are animals. It's actually kind of cute. The problem was, though, Factor 5 was also working on another game at the time called Lair.
Yep.
And Lair was hyped up as it was going to be one of the PS3 killer apps when it came out at launch. Unfortunately, the game was mediocre and crap.
Oh.
And it was one of those games that basically forced the PS3's 6-axis on everything. And it wasn't a great game at all. And unfortunately, because it was so negatively received, Animal Wars just kind of got canceled in the process. They were also making so Factor 5 themselves, before we take our quick break, they had a number of canceled games, including a Star Wars Rogue Squadron Collector's Edition, which had all 3 games in one package for the Wii. They were making a Pilot Wings game for the GameCube. Obviously, the Superman game we talked about. And they were apparently trying to make a Kid Icarus reboot. But yeah. But anyways, guys, before we get into that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Whee! I'm not ready. I'm not ready to record.
Well, we're recording now.
No, I'm not ready.
And we're back.
No,
So,
no.
continuing on with the talk about canceled video games.
No.
Another one that was kind of interesting but also tragic was the StarCraft Ghost. So StarCraft Ghost was like a console entry in the StarCraft series, Blizzard's famous StarCraft series of... You okay there?
I hiccuped.
That was a loud hiccup.
It was. It kind of hurt.
I'm sure it
I'm
did.
dying. Dead.
Anyways, so
He
StarCraft,
didn't even care. He didn't show any
because I know
concern.
you're full of shit.
What if I actually was dead?
We wouldn't still be recording.
Ow!
I punched the pillow, you idiot.
Ow! Why did you just punch me? Did you guys hear that? Did you hear that slaps? Ow! Not again!
Stop. But anyway, so yeah, StarCraft Ghost. This one, so the series itself is based off of like a series of strategy games for the PC.
Okay.
StarCraft Ghost was instead going to be a console-based stealth action game, and it went through a couple of different developers, including Blizzard themselves, Nihilistic Software. That's a studio to talk about, and my personal favorite of the three that worked on this game, Swingin' Ape Studios.
Swingin' Ape.
Swingin' Ape.
Swingin' Ape.
Essentially, the game was being made during like the 6th generation era, so like the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era, and it was gonna be like third person. It was gonna have like all these different like worlds to explore, and it was super ambitious for the time, to the point where I believe it was too ambitious. Because essentially, what happened was the game was put on indefinite hold.
Oh, so canceled.
Pretty much. It's never been officially canceled. It's basically been like on hold for since then. And
Indefinite hold is just the word for it's canceled, but we don't want to say it's canceled.
Yeah. Basically, the problem was I think the game was too ambitious for the 6th generation consoles.
Yeah.
And they really wanted to look into the 7th generation consoles. I think the problem is Blizzard and Activision are a terrible company that really needs to that is just people know it's enough's been said about them. But also they've been too busy working on stuff like Diablo and World of Warcraft and all that stuff. So this game kind of just became vaporware, and it's likely never going to come back, although... Oh, actually, no, it was confirmed canceled in 2014. Never mind.
Good.
Never mind.
Good.
But I guess there's always hope that it might come back
Well,
one day.
not good, but, canceled. Not indefinite hiatus.
Yeah. You know what else is funny, too? Like, a number of canceled games happen to be licensed games.
Oh, that's probably not a bad thing. No.
Like, there was a Dirty Harry game, I guess, at one point that was canceled. A lot of Aliens spin-offs, an Indiana Jones game. I'm just looking down this list of them. Avengers games. They're just funny to me because it's like, wow, hey, Superman. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the factor. Oh, yeah, that's definitely a tech demo right there. Yeah, but there's a ton of Die Hard 64. That would have been a game. Also, there's a lot of canceled games, like we said, that are literally almost finished.
Huh.
Like Fable Legends was another one. You know, Microsoft's classic Fable series of RPGs.
Yep.
There was, I guess, one being developed around the time for, I want to say the Xbox One. A problem is, though, I think a lot of it had to do with, like, the lead developer, well, the founder of the studio that made it, Peter Molyneux, ended up leaving the studio, and the studio was eventually closed.
Yeah.
And I think Microsoft just kind of didn't know what to do with the series by that point.
So they just gave up.
Yeah, well, also it didn't help, too, that the only game they'd put out before this, like, after the third game released, was this game called Fable The Journey, which was a really mediocre Kinect spin-off.
Okay.
Now, Fable fans can be happy, though, because there is a studio called Playground Games.
Yep.
Actually, I think that's the Forza developer now that I think about it. But anyways, they're currently working on a reboot, so hopefully that will be good for fans of the series, even though I won't be able to play it because I don't own a current Xbox. But
Oh, you don't?
yeah, and I have no desire to get one.
No.
But that's besides the point.
Womp womp.
Now, you good?
I got the hiccups. It's the drink. I guess. I don't know.
So, anyways, moving on. Another interesting one I want to talk about is, so you know Jak and Daxter?
Yes.
Naughty Dog's follow-up to Crash.
Yeah.
Did you know they tried to bring that back?
Jak and Daxter. Oh, I think I know which one. That's not the Ratchet. I'm
No,
thinking
no.
Ratchet and Clank, but I remember Jak and
Jak and Daxter was the Naughty Dog one. Had the little orange weasel guy.
Yeah. Weasel
Daxter.
Man.
So Naughty Dog actually tried to bring that back.
Oh,
They were gonna reboot it.
Huh.
And they actually
And it got canceled. I'm
No,
assuming.
it didn't get. Well, the game itself was canceled.
Uh-huh.
So basically, the people behind Jak and Daxter, like by this point, company founders like Jason Rubin and Andy Gavin were both long gone. Like the majority of the people from the old Naughty Dog had been retired by this. Well, moved on by this point.
Yeah.
Hell, even the majority of like the Uncharted team had left by this point too.
Oh, dang.
Like, and now we had moved on to like the current Naughty Dog, and they were trying to go for a more realistic, like darker and edgier kind of game.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where basically the developers were kind of like, this just isn't Jak and Daxter anymore.
Yeah. This isn't our series.
And they just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So they kind of just canceled the idea of doing a Jak and Daxter reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, though, they took those ideas
Yep.
and later transitioned them into The Last of Us.
Oh, wow. Wait, that's
Well,
quite not what I was expecting you to say.
the team that was working on
Okay,
it.
I can see why it didn't become a Jak and Daxter
Well,
game.
they changed it significantly after
Well,
they
yeah.
stopped making it a Jak and Daxter game.
Yeah.
Because I've seen there is a few like rough like artist like interpretations of what they were going for, and I look at these shots and I'm kind of like, that looks really gritty and dark for no reason. But then I kind of think about it, I'm like, I could see that being reused in The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of The Last of Us is it's basically the planet's been overrun by this fungus zombie virus,
Yep.
and because civilization is now in hiding for the most part and more segregated around the world, nature is starting to like reclaim parts of the world.
Yeah.
So the game Last of Us is a very green and pretty game at times when you're not looking at fungus monsters.
Ugh.
But yeah, that one I always found really interesting just because it's like, huh. There's also, speaking of Jak and Daxter, there was also the original intended version of what was supposed to be the Lost Frontier, because Naughty Dog at one point was also working on that before they decided they just couldn't handle two projects at once and basically they handed off the basic idea over to High Impact Games, who basically just made their own game.
Yeah.
But there apparently was a planned Naughty Dog version at one point, which I really wish we could have seen, because Lost Frontier had potential.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's canceled games kind of go all over the place, but I think the most famous one now we should probably talk about Silent Hills.
Silent Hills.
The long-awaited return of the Silent Hill franchise, because by that point, the last Silent Hills game, I think to this day, the last Silent Hill game was Book of Memories on the Vita, which was a beat 'em up.
Oh,
Yeah.
not the usual. Because Silent Hill is like,
Survival,
Yeah.
psychological mostly, but survival horror.
yeah, okay.
The last traditional one was Downpour on the PS3, which in itself was a kind of a mess of a game.
Okay.
So they wanted to bring back the Silent Hill series, and they put, by that point, because Konami is a dumpster fire of a company
Oh, God.
at this point,
Oh,
they put basically their only developer they had left,
yep.
who was Mr. Hideo Kojima,
Oh,
the
okay.
creator of Metal Gear.
Okay.
And Kojima had very ambitious plans for the game, and he was partnering with Guillermo del Toro, the horror movie director.
Okay.
They wanted to make Kojima said in interviews that he didn't want to make a game that would scare the player. He wanted to make a game that would scare the shit out of the player.
Oh, God.
Like
okay.
he was going for like a horror game, like through and through.
Yeah.
And people got super hyped for this. Like they had Norman Reedus, the guy from the Walking Dead series.
Yes.
He was going to be in the game, and it was going to be like this super ambitious title, and it
Okay.
looked legitimately frightening. So they even got to the point where they released a teaser for the game called PT, which at the time what we didn't know was actually
E.T. No.
we didn't. Well,
Sorry.
PT stands for playable teaser. At the time, it was released for free on PSN, and a lot of people didn't know what it was because it wasn't initially shown as a playable teaser for Silent Hills. So you'd play the game, and this thing was legitimately freaky, like to play.
Yeah.
Like it was a mindfucky game, very Silent Hills like. And
Yeah.
basically, when you finally finished the demo, it would cut to like a CGI recreation of obviously the in-game character model of Norman Reedus' character,
Yeah.
who would start walking off into the town, and then the caption "Silent Hills" would pop up.
Oh.
So basically, it was like the tech demo, just showcasing what they were doing, and it looked really awesome.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Kojima and Konami had their infamous falling out over the release of Metal Gear Solid 5, which Kojima went way over budget because, of course, he did, and Konami basically cut the game's development short because he was taking too long and going way over budget.
Ah.
That's why Metal Gear Solid 5 feels unfinished.
Oh.
But yeah, basically after Kojima was fired or left, depending on interpretation, they didn't immediately cancel Silent Hills, but eventually, after a few minutes, they canceled it, despite Kojima saying he would finish it for them.
Huh. I guess they
And-
just didn't want to.
Yeah, and then Konami basically went into a self-destructive phase where everything they did fucking just pissed people off.
Oh no.
Like they released that garbage like Metal Gear Survive game,
Yep.
a really shitty Contra game, and then pachinko machines. A lot
Oh.
of pachinko machines.
Huh.
How are we going to celebrate the anniversary of Silent Hill? Pachinko machine.
Why not?
Although they did greenlight the Castlevania animated series, which was very nice. Yeah, but eventually, though, that game, Kojima, when he moved on to his own, he would later go on and create Death Stranding,
Yep.
which would feature a lot of his ideas from Silent Hills, plus Norman Reedus would play the main character, and Guillermo del Toro did make a cameo in the game as a nod and thanks to the guy.
Wow.
Because you want to talk about canceled games, that guy has had a hell of a time getting a game created, because every game he's ever worked on has been canceled.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess he probably stays away at this point.
Yeah, after Silent Hills, he made a statement basically saying,
I
I'm
won't.
never gonna work on a video game again.
Aw,
Although-
that's so sad.
There's rumors that him and Kojima might work together again, because they actually did legitimately like each other.
Yeah.
The problem with Kojima is his games are such mindfucks.
Yeah.
Like, Death Stranding's a great game, but it's also like a Kojima game, and unless you understand Kojima games, it's going to be
It's gonna mess you up.
No, you're just not going to get it, because
No.
you have to understand Kojima's how Kojima's brain works.
Yep.
But yeah, so we've gone down to quite the list. I'm just thinking of, speaking of Konami, how many games they've released that have been canceled.
Oh no. I
Well-
guess. Well, is it possible that there's a lot of other canceled games out there that we don't know about because they never really announced it, and until more things like the Xbox, you were talking about earlier, where some of them they get leaked, we'll just
Yeah.
never know.
Well, I mean, like I said, there was a ton of superhero games, particularly DC heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of one-off superhero games that never got released. Like there was supposed to be a Flash game.
A Flash game,
Yeah,
like Flash game,
No.
like Newgrounds.
no, the Flash.
The Flash, lame. No, I'm
There's
just kidding.
there was a ton of them though. It's sad because tragically when a game gets canceled like that, it's basically gone forever.
No.
Especially when some of them are super hyped. Oh yeah, Fez 2. We should probably talk about Fez 2.
Fez.
You ever?
Like-
No.
Fez?
No.
like I said, good day.
No. Fez was an indie game that was developed by this man named Phil Fish. And Fez was it was like a side-scrolling platformer. It was like a puzzle platformer where the whole gimmick of the game was levels were like square,
Yep.
and you would turn the level to each face of the square, like cube essentially. So you'd get to a point on a screen and you wouldn't know how to progress. So you'd rotate the screen to a different side of the cube,
Okay.
essentially, to get farther. It was a cool idea.
Yep.
A very acclaimed game. Not the greatest thing in the world, but
But not
fun
awful.
little idea. A little harmless indie game. A sequel got greenlit.
Oh.
And The developer Phil Fish is like a massive egomaniac and like drama queen.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So people kept pestering him about Fez 2 to the point where he literally, legitimately threw a hissy fit, rage quit, and canceled it.
Oh, wow. So it literally only got canceled because
It canceled because the developer was a fucking crybaby.
Wow.
Because everyone pestered him about it.
Huh.
Yeah, he basically
I guess
just...
that teaches people a lesson. Don't push some people's buttons.
Basically, he legit got in a Twitter argument and just canceled the game.
Wow.
And he's legitimately just disappeared ever since.
Huh.
It's funny how many of these games, too, like, I didn't even hear of. Like, a lot of survival horror games get canceled.
Yeah.
A lot of, there isn't a lot of high-profile games that have been canceled lately.
Well, that's a good thing, I guess.
Well, a lot of the games that get canceled these days are just kind of... They're games that, like, you kind of knew about, but it's, like, at the same time, you're kind of like, that's not really something I would have cared about.
Oh, okay.
In a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a ton of, like, Nintendo games, too. Like, you remember the CDI?
Yes.
So there was actually... So we got Hotel Mario, but there was actually another one called, like... They were trying to make a sequel to Super Mario World.
Oh.
Called Super Mario's Wacky Worlds.
Okay.
Which was actually, I mean, we don't know what it could have been because all that we have is this basically a ROM of the beta got on the internet.
Yep.
And it's incredibly unfinished. Like, it's not good because it's not finished, but also it's just it's not finished. As
Okay.
I should say. But I mean, their whole idea was it was literally gonna be Mario World, like side-scrolling platformer.
Yep.
And you'd go through like photorealistic like worlds based off like the real world. Kind of cool idea. I would have liked to play it.
Yep.
Just to see.
Yeah.
It was unfinished though because it took too long to develop and the CDI was failing as it was.
Yes, I mean, it did have some great games on it though.
Oh fuck yeah, the
Especially-
Flowers of Robert Mapplethorpe.
Yeah. Do you have that?
I don't have the CDI.
I think you should get one just so we can play the Flowers of Robert Maple.
You know how expensive like CDI stuff is though?
It'll be worth it. Do it.
No.
Do it right now.
No. It's funny too because actually another one I wanted to talk about before we wrap this up is Fallout 3. No, not Fallout 3, the Bethesda game, the original Fallout 3.
Oh, okay.
So the Fallout series was originally a top-down Western RPG, like turn-based RPG.
Yep.
And it was developed by Interplay Entertainment later through their Black Isle Studios studio. Mm-hmm. The first two games are critically acclaimed. Like, they were very well done for the time. Then the third game began development, and that one was supposed to be super ambitious. Like, it was actually going to be 3D, like, still the top-down turn-based. And it got pretty far, and the storytelling and stuff was there. Unfortunately, Interplay was super in debt.
Yes.
Like most of these companies were.
Wah, wah.
And they ended up having to cancel it due to money reasons. They later sold off the Fallout series to Bethesda because they needed to get out of debt.
Yeah.
Then they tried to like make it Fallout games anyways, even though they sold the series, and there was a whole mess around that. And then Bethesda inevitably won.
Yeah.
And Fallout's continued into their own dumpster fire with Fallout 76 being the debacle it was.
Yes.
But yeah, that was another one that was kind of tragic.
Aw.
I'm trying to think about any other ones really. Like a lot of them, unfortunately, there's just not a lot of detail, or there's not a lot of detail, or like they could honestly be their own videos explaining everything that happened. But anyways, yeah. So I think we can probably wrap it up there
Yeah.
for this one. We went through a good amount. I mean, canceled games are always depressing because it's kind of like it's always just a case of what could have been.
Yeah.
But it also kind of at times could be like it might have been what could have been, but it also in a lot of cases might have just been nothing at all.
Yeah. Or maybe like it was good it didn't happen because if it happened, maybe it would have been bad on the companies. that
Would have been
made it.
bad, or it would have caused a ripple effect that would have caused later games to not happen in a way. But yeah. So anyways, guys, this has been another episode of the Gaming and Collecting Podcast.
Woo!
The Gaming Collecting Podcast can be found on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. And we are made on Anchor Podcast, and you can follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Good Pods.
Good pod.
And
The pods are good there.
Yeah.
Did you know?
and until next time, guys, once again, thanks for joining us on the Gaming Collecting Podcast, and we will see you all next time.
See you later.